We are back. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Hope y'all doing all right. Let us know in the comments if you're doing all right. I'm sure you are. I am. I'm sure Bryan is all right. Foots the King, the guest tonight on our Tuesday guest night. Foots, you all right? You good? You straight?
Hey man, when I just realized who I replaced, I'm thankful that y'all gave me the call.
I called you first. He just said no first. Don't worry about
that. Bryan, what's wrong with him? Do you know how long I've been dealing with this, Bryan?
Oh no, I tell you what, man. I've got to the point where it was like, oh man, I love you, Broaddus, and now I'm like, I'm treated like a little kid.
This goofy ass Bryan Broaddus up here with his goofy opinions. That's how I talk to him.
Yeah. It's like he's kind of like going. He's like, damn, I thought working with you was going to be fun and good and all that. And I'm like, hey, bro, what do you want me to do? He's like, man, I don't know. I don't know about you. I really don't know about you. But it's good to have you here, Foots. It really, really is, man.
Man, for sure. Foots the King, man. Me and Bryan Broaddus just been watching players, and we'll show up here on the show. We'll talk about it. Yeah, I mean, we'll just kind of, passively rank these guys. We don't have a board done quite yet, but we just big picture kind of rank these guys a little bit. And we was talking about disagreements and all this kind of stuff. I'm glad you said that word there, sir. It's a couple of players that's in this projected top. Let me put my fingers in there so y'all can see. That's in this projected top. I just kind of want to know where you are, man, because the Cowboys kind of in that. We'll just say top 15 is safe. It's safe to say the Cowboys drafting in that top 15. And I've become worried, and this is Bryan's first time hearing me say this, because when you have an early pick, you kind of run the risk of, okay, well, what if my team like one of these guys that I don't like? You know what I mean? So, Foots the King, let me just ask your opinion on three guys.
Let's go.
You get a chance to watch Mykel Williams, the edge from Georgia?
I did, Voch. Man, I have thoughts.
Yeah, he's like a Dane Brugler top 5 kind of guy. You know what I mean? And it's early. It's December. The Cowboys losing. It's December. But Foots, where you at on Mykel Williams? I'll tell you what me and Broaddus think later.
I got to tell you, man, I think it's more of Georgia's defense being good than Mykel Williams being a top 5 player. And that may be a strong opinion, but I'll go ahead and bury the lead. I have James Pierce as a better, like, pure, ready-to-go DN, Voch, than Mykel Williams. Now, Mykel Williams and Walker both are guys, right? Mm-hmm. But there are times where I'm just like, I don't know if he has the hips. I don't know if he disengages well. I don't know if he has the burst. Like when I'm watching Abdul Carter, I see clear guy. Yeah. Like he's even with him overrunning plays at times, even with him, struggling at times versus the run, I see guy. And then last year, coming into the season, I'm like, Pierce. And then this year, his numbers aren't the same. But I got to tell you, Voch, he's smaller than Williams. We'll wait till we get the measurables. Sure. But I like Pierce versus the run a little better than Williams, me personally. Now, I could be wrong, but I saw some things like his effort versus the run. Obviously, he can't do things off ball like Walker, and he can't do things off ball like Carter. But Pierce, man, the more I watch his tape, the more I fall in love with him. So top 5 for me with Williams, no.
Foots, we actually agree with you, sir. When we, when me and Bryan kind of cumulatively rank these edges, I mean, it's incredibly early, but man, I think I like the kid from Marshall a little more, the kid from Tennessee that we just talking about. It's a couple of these guys that we're kind of pushing up the board, and look, it happens every year. Once upon a time, Brad Kaya was a number 1 overall guy, and then he goes in the 7th round when we really come together and figure this thing out. So it's really early for us. Greg Russo is a perfect example of that, right? Like he was projected as like a top 3 or so kind of guy, but he ends up going like 20 something. And he's having a cool career, but I think that the more we watch this stuff, the more that we're going to kind of break up some of this ambiguity there. Bryan, did you have something on Foots' thought?
No, I think that to me, like I like that we brought up the fact of Foots brought up the Tennessee kid, with Pierce. Me personally, I don't know if I would take this guy at 15, say with Pierce. I think there's probably going to be some people on the board that I like a little bit better. But you brought up Mike Green from Marshall.
Marshall kid.
Yeah, Foots, have you seen him at all play, Mike Green?
I won't lie and say that I've watched this all 22.
Okay, well, yeah.
But I've heard so much about him. But to say that I watched this all 22, no, I haven't, Brian.
Okay, that's cool. Man, we're good. The thing about with Mike Green is like, man, I see the explosiveness. I see the finish. I see the close. I see him fighting, to get upfield. I see him playing off the run. I mean, there's things about some of these other guys, and we talk about, with Williams and stuff like that. He's just, man, I know if you're picking in the top 50, I just don't want any questions. I'm looking for the guy that has the least amount of holes in him. And there's a couple of these guys like Williams, and those that just bother me. It just bothers me that I feel like that, I'm looking at a guy that's physically a great looking player. Pierce, he plays well. I think there's some holes in his game too. And maybe it's just me and the way that I'm looking at these kids. But man, I don't want this guy that I'm struggling with. I'll tell you another guy I'm struggling with, and I know it's a wholly different thing, but there's this Wyatt Millam
tackle from West Virginia.
For West Virginia. I've had scouts tell me that this guy has Zach Martin traits to him as a player. Now, okay, but I'm just saying, there's more guys, and Voch, I appreciate you putting Green's video up there for a little bit, but I'm trying to say this whole thing is that there's certain players in this draft that I'm having a hard time with, and I'm having a hard time because where Dallas is going to pick, I'm having a hard time because I think, okay, this is going to be a slam dunk guy. That's a slam dunk guy. That's a slam. Whereas last year's draft, I kind of felt a little bit better about these guys. I think there's a lot of defensive ends in this draft, but man, I have questions about them as players. And that worries me to the point where I'm looking at other positions. I'm looking at other, okay, give me another position. Let me look at these
linebacker, corner, maybe. Yeah.
Let me look at some of these other positions and maybe kind of figure that out, because I just don't want to sit there at 15 and take a guy and then I'm thinking, oh damn, I just took a guy with more holes in him than positive stuff. And that scares me a little bit about this draft right now.
Bryan, I will tell you this though, I think eventually we end up getting it right, and it may not be the right thing right now, but I think we end up getting it right. So right now we're hearing names like Millam and Jonah from Arizona. We can't say his last name right now, so we're seeing those names right now. But Bryan, I can damn near guarantee you, by the time this is done, Marcus Mbow, Purdue is going to be up there over those guys, or I can see Booker. Tyler Booker from Bama.
We're talking tackles, Voch.
I'm talking about guards right now, but if you want to talk guards, but even with tackles right now, because look, Will Campbell from LSU is up here, Foots. I'm willing to bet you by the time this is over with, it may be a name or two. You're going to be hearing rumors and murmurs. Some other teams like Banks or whoever or Simmons. Go ahead, Foots.
I was going to say Simmons is the one. Voch,
number one guy.
I love his tape.
Yeah.
But I obviously got hurt this year. Sure. But I'm just like, and I listen, I leave O-line talk to Voch because, that's what he does. He's hit on so many of those guys over our years. Bryan, I got to give him his flowers on those. And we fought on a few guys, but I'm going to tell you this, Bryan, I'm watching Emeka stuff from 2-3 years ago. I'm like, man, God, Josh Simmons is good. Like his jump set, his feet. Yeah. And I'm just like, him, Campbell, I know he was hurt, but then the tools with Simmons just look like, if you're talking tackle, and I know this fan base doesn't want to hear O-line, give me that. I know he got injured, but give me that, because I don't know if Will Campbell is as physically imposing as a Simmons. That's just my 2 cents on tackle play.
If the league lets you mess around and get Josh Simmons at the top of the second round, we going to Golden Corral. You understand me? We going to get all you can eat sushi if they find a way to make that dude fall. But I think all ACL, price drops aren't the same. He could tear his ACL, and yeah, he could go, top of the second. But some dudes tear their ACL, and teams go, "I be damned, this dude is too good. I'm still drafting this guy."
Yeah.
And
in the first round, yeah.
And Foots, I agree. I think Josh Simmons is the best tackle in this draft. And I thought I was on an island with that because all I've been seeing is Will Campbell, Kevin Banks. I thought I was on an island with that. But Bryan agrees, Dane agrees, and I see you agree too. So I think we're all in the same company here. But it all comes down to the knee. If we get positive medicals. I mean, he's probably won't be like fully ready until like camp or something. But when combine comes around and they're saying, "Hey, look, by the time we get to July, August, he's gonna be ready to go. No setbacks or nothing." This dude's going top 15.
Yeah.
Man, first let me ask you about another guy. Me and Brian Broaddus just confused on. We just trying to figure it all out, man. We watching corners and. Man, we watched the kid from ECU and we go, "Damn, he can play. I like him."
I was gonna ask you about him. That's crazy.
Fuzz, we watched a kid from Colorado that also played wide receiver. We go, "Damn, boy, that boy, damn, boy." But man, Fuzz the King, we having problems with Will Johnson from Michigan, man. What? Now, Fuzz, you're DB guy. For real. I mean, I'm not DB guy, but I am Voch, and that is Brian Broaddus. What's going on with Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, Fuzz the King? Some people say he's like a number 2 overall, number 3. Dane has him as a top 5 or 6 guy. He like 15 to 17 for me. Where you at with it, Fuzz?
So I like Will Campbell. I don't love him. But obviously he had the injuries this year. He missed a few games this year. I think his tape last year is top 5, bona fide. Like the way he played last year, the bowl, and just the way that whole Michigan defense played. I was talking to somebody yesterday about if you love Mason Graham, if you find reason not to like Mason Graham's tape from this year, just go watch last year's tape. Go watch them against Alabama. Go watch those games, and you'll re-fall in love with his tape. Yeah. With Johnson, to me, it's how fast is he, Voch? Like that is a stop clock position.
That's a question.
448? I mean, 447?
No, go ahead. Yeah,
I mean, Bryan, like he looks at times slow on film, and I don't know. Like I'm gonna tell you, the kid in Baltimore, I think he's able to play so well this year because he's fast. Nate, Clemson corner, Wiggins, because he can run. I don't know if like the ECU kid is just twitched up. Yeah. Oh, he's twitched up. Big and too. I hate that he got I just hate that he got hurt, Voch. Yeah. But with Johnson, it's exactly that. I don't. Was it injuries? Was he battling something? Because on tape this year, he just didn't play with that. I'm like, man, I don't know how fast he is. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I'll tell you this, Voch. As I get through more of these players. Like I'll say, I have Starks higher on my big board than him. I have Pierce higher on my big board than him, but everybody doesn't look at Pierce like I do. So that's my thoughts on him, Voch and Bryan.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. The thing with Will Johnson, I think that you're absolutely right about him, Foots. The thing I think that's going to come up is this going to be a 4.5 guy? I'm talking about 4.5 speed guy. Are we going to get to the combine and, he's going to run and it's going to be a 4.5, it's going to be 4.53. And then you're going to maybe think about him a little different. And you get him at Michigan and maybe he'll go a little faster there, with the scouts and all that stuff, timing him. I worry about a guy this tall that doesn't have that when you talk about twitched up stuff and the turn and all that. Now, man, that kid at East Carolina, Ravel, I mean, he's the same height. He's probably a good, maybe 12, 13 pounds lighter than him. But man, you see the ability to turn and run and close and fiery competitor. I don't always see that with Will Johnson. I don't see it now. I was watching somebody at Michigan I was watching Texas. I was working on the receiver Isaiah Bond, the wide receiver from Texas. And I had on the Michigan game. And Johnson came up, made a tackle, drove the receiver out of bounds.
Great tackler.
And so I'm like, okay, cool. But, like Ravel and those guys from East Carolina, I mean, I see a guy that flips and runs and fights and makes contested plays. Now, you could go back and watch Will Johnson play against Marvin Harrison last year, in the Ohio State game, and maybe get a little bit better, feel like, hey, it's quite a battle. And I saw a battler last year. I'm not so sure I saw the same player this year, but he'll get involved, but the success rate, it kind of comes and goes. The missed tackles kind of comes and goes with this guy, so I have a little bit more questions about him. I think the media scouts have got him really, really high. And I think in actuality, like Voch was talking about, this guy might be somewhere where he needs to be picked 17, 18, 19, somewhere right around there.
Bryan, let's have a little fun. Me and you always coming on here and giving our reports on these players and all this kind of stuff. Foots,
talk to me.
How about you give us a scouting report on Emeka Egbuka? Wide receiver, Ohio State. You got to say it all together like that. Foots, give us a report on him.
One of my hot takes, Bryan, Voch, I have him as receiver 2 outside of what we're going to do with Travis Hunter. I have him over Luther Burden. I have him over Isaiah Bond. I think one of the things about Bond is he just plays at one pace.
Can I ask you real quick, Foots, where do you have if you've done McMillan from Arizona?
I have him at 1, yeah.
You have McMillan at 1. Okay.
I don't know what Travis is going to do. He hasn't really said. Yeah. They're keeping it tight. Maybe you probably know more than me, Bryan. But I mean, we'd probably be breaking news. I don't know what he's going to do. But if he's going to play receiver, I love Emeka Egbuka's 2022 tape. Now, I was talking with Voch, and this is what I'm going to ask. Actually, I want to ask you 2 questions as well. But sure. I was talking with Voch on this on my channel. I said, well, Voch, do we take quarterback play into consideration? Will Howard, not good enough.
CJ different. You have to.
CJ Stroud, accurate passer. Dak Prescott, accurate passer. Accurate passers are going to love Emeka Egbuka. I just feel like the receiver stuff is too good in this class. I watched your guys' show with Dana. It was an amazing show, and I'm using that. I'm stealing that. In this class, find me a route runner, Bryan, who's going to set guys up like he does. I mean, the long speed, the size, but I'm also looking at a guy who's a great blocker. I loved him after the catch in 2022. Now, people are going to say, Bryan, Jeremiah Smith. I was talking to a buddy, Matt. He's a great follow, and people are going to say Jeremiah Smith was way better. And I say, yeah, he's a better player. I mean, he's a guy you hang on the outside and he just wins and wins and wins. But guess what? Even Jeremiah Smith struggled in that Michigan game. Why? Because quarterback play and play calling with Ryan Day just hasn't been there. Yeah. So with all of that, I love Emeka Egbuka. He can run every route, Bryan. They don't run him on digs. They don't run him on bang eights. They don't run him on the stuff that I think he wins on. Look at that separation, Voch. So I just look at a guy who give Dak that, give a quarterback that, and then you let CD be, the yak guy. I think there's a way you could win with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he painted a pretty darn good picture of this kid. And I'll say this about him. He is super competitive.
Yes.
I mean, he is. I mean, that's the thing about it is that, and to me, I love these kind of players. I think that when you watch him, the speed, the quickness, the burst, the ability to take the routes inside, the ability to get up the field, to be able to track the ball the way he does. I would, if you gave me a choice between him and Burton from Missouri, I'm going to take Burton.
Okay.
But I can understand why. Very similar with, you look at run after catch, you look at explosiveness, you look at the ability to go get the football. Competitive wide receivers. I think that's this team right now with the Cowboys, or whoever you follow. We always try and be, heck, we might have fans watching our show that aren't Cowboy fans, but if you're looking for a receiver that is competitive, that is tough, that will catch the football inside, can get it down the field, really good route runner. This kid's got outstanding traits if your team needs that kind of guy.
I'm just listening to both of y'all talk. I'm kind of shocked y'all haven't labeled him as a yak guy. Like, I think he gets a little crazy with the ball in his hand. I think.
I think Foots had it. I think Foots was talking to him. Didn't he say something? I thought.
He'll run after that catch.
He was saying something about Lamb being.
Well, that's
being
what I was talking about with him and Burton.
Yeah, for sure.
Him and Burton are those. You watch these guys when they put ball in hand.
Yeah.
It's north south. It's not jerking around and trying to find. It's like get the ball and go type of a player.
I got a question for both of y'all.
Por favor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys, when your process, Bryan, let's say, because Burton, right? I'm looking at the numbers, and it was not a significant drop, but it was a drop.
Yeah.
Last year was crazy.
Yeah.
When you're evaluating Bryan, Voch, how much does that play into, and then what do you do research-wise to say, okay, is this who he is? Was this a bad year? Was it scheme? Were they down? Like, what's your process there?
Quarterback matters. Matters. So look, even with Ibuka, he got like what 500 yards this year. Some silly, goofy
numbers
like that.
aren't there.
He's a 1,000-yard receiver in 2022. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So as Bryan grew to be numbers guy, because he was really film guy, he grew to be numbers guy. Bryan taught me this. He's like, hey, look, you ain't got to be numbers guy, but the numbers mean something. Like this is a thing because it means something. So watch his 2024 film. Watch his 23. Then watch his 22. If y'all don't want to do all that work, then just go where the numbers is high, then watch a game where the numbers is low. That's something you can do to just kind of shortcut it. I got to watch 7 games on it because I need answers. And Foots, I think him versus Luther Burden going to be a real life conversation because he does bring nuanced wide receiver stuff to the party. He does bring route running and quarterback friendly stuff. And, I was drawing this one play, like I had the lines drawn up there. It was looking kind of goofy. I normally just identify the player, but I had it drawn up here. This was just so like I can come back and watch like, oh, he's coming back to the quarterback here. He's showing his numbers. He's being quarterback friendly there. I think nuanced things matter over talent sometimes. Luther Burden may be more talented, but if you look at Ibuka and look, man, he's played 4 years? That's a ton of snaps to just build nuance. I think it's going to be a real life conversation that's worth having, like those two guys versus each other. Burden may end up winning, but I feel what you're saying, Foots. I don't totally disagree because this dude is a dude.
Yeah.
Ibuka, did you get a chance to watch Alec Ayominyar, the wide receiver from Stanford?
It's crazy, Voch. Another guy where we talk about last year versus this year. Yeah. And, I mean, now the deal with him is this. Athletic traits off the charts. Yeah. Stanford's offense, though, Bryan, it was hard, right?
Yeah, not good. Yeah,
it was hard. And then, of course, the big game is against Travis Hunter. But, he's had some games where you're like, man, but they hang him out on the edge. And I'm just like, you talk about the nuance stuff, Voch. I don't know what are they asking him to do route running wise? I just didn't see a guy on film, and I like him. Like, he is intriguing because the frame, compact build, Voch. I mean, he can beat press. The problem is, the more I watched, I didn't see enough separation. And I don't know if it's like, okay, it's Stanford, they're running what Stanford does, get under center, certain things. It's just like basic offense, not really a lot of spread concepts, not really they don't move him a lot. He just hangs out on an island. Well, that's okay, but like I needed to see more in that. But he is interesting. Like he's a very interesting player. I just don't know if that's going to win in the NFL, just being a guy that can be a jump ball guy. And like, I struggle with him in that sense, but I do like the player.
Yeah, I think this kid's Brendan Rice, who we watched last year from you. I think it's Jerry Rice. Remember Jerry Rice's kid, Brendan Rice?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think this kid looks like, to me, when you're watching, and last year we were watching Brendan Rice and Caleb Williams is throwing the ball, and like the ball ain't always accurate. This kid makes circus catches. I think he's a build-up speed kind of guy as he goes down the field. But that is a big body that can run slants, the ends, the vertical stuff. Is he going to run away from people? No. Is he going to make contested catches? Yes. And I kind of felt like when I was watching Brendan Rice play last year, the same thing. The Pac-12, throw the ball up, go make a catch. Oh, it's in the end zone. go extend, tap balls, right there. Yeah, I think Stanford quarterback play was not good. It hasn't been good. And this is why this kid's a really good bad ball catcher. Because if he doesn't one hand high point a ball, they're not going to get a completion. But I will say this. I respect this kid's toughness. He's a Canadian kid. Okay. So he hasn't played a ton of football. His best football might be ahead of him. Yeah. But you could see his ability to go get it. And I respect the heck out of that.
Yeah.
Man, Foots, boy. Brother Brad. What round do you draft Deion Walker to tackle from Kentucky?
Oh, you thought?
What the hell?
Voch is funny, Bryan.
Where the hell you take that guy?
He one thing I love about Voch, he gonna get you on the spot.
He's just practicing for the draft show when he gets his ass kicked every twice a week.
Bryan, you have no idea. Foots is exhausted of me. I have made Foots older with this conversation. Foots, give us a report. First of all, Foots, give us a report on Deion Walker tackle from Kentucky, and then tell us where you draft him, sir.
Guys, I see a 2-3. I just don't see a first round player. And the size is great build. But Bryan, his conditioning sucks. And I don't know if he's taking plays off. Like, I'm really big. One thing I got to give Jalen Carter credit. He plays every rep, balls to the wall. And I think that's so underrated. And, like 14, 15, not with him. I think there's times where his rush loses juice. I think there's times where, him and Walter Nolan, right? More or less, Nolan's hands are violent, but they're not violent every rep. And they both get stuck on guards. And they both have in plays, they lose like a plan. Now, does he get with his staff and they monitor his reps? Maybe. But, I have Nolan over him. But I think that there are guys, man, in this class. Like, Bryan, what do y'all think about this D tackle class? I think it's actually sneaky. Like,
we love them all, but we asking you the questions. We love them all. But go ahead and tell us.
I'm gonna tell you, Kenneth Grant, sign me up. We know how we feel about Mason Graham. Sign me up. Derek
Harmon, Oregon,
sign me up.
Tyleek Williams, Ohio State,
sign me up.
Okay.
I just for my money, man. I get the hype because he looks a certain way.
Yeah,
but it's the second. I mean, listen, 6'6", 345. Like, no, there's going to be, and Bryan, you've done this. You the godfather for a reason. He's going to pass every eye test. He gets off the bus. Let's go. Let's play football. Yeah. But I think it's some of that, man, I just don't know if he can consistently play at that level to where it's like third, fourth quarter, he's getting washed. He's getting sealed. There's guys like our guy Cooper Beebe who's playing with better leverage. Yeah. Like, that's what scares me with him.
Man, Fuzz, when we had Dane on, I try not to loudly, disagree with Dane because I just met him. I don't want him to not come back to the doing all right. But
we're gonna wait. That's gonna be right before the draft when we bring him back.
We're gonna get him then. We're gonna get him then.
Yeah, we'll get him then.
But Fuzz, man, when I was watching Deion Walker, I wrote down the term aggressive loafs. Right? And that term can go one of two ways. In my opinion, I think it's a character trait. I think it has more to do with your character and more to do with your who you are as a ball player. Dane says, well, that's a good point with your aggressive loafs, Voch, but he plays a ton of snaps. And I said, Dane, that's fair. But what about the aggressive loafs in the second quarter, Dane? These are I ain't say that to Dane because I want him to come back to the doing all right. But he does have aggressive loafs all through the game. Because sometimes I get so mad at him, I don't even finish the game. I move on to the next game. I said, let me watch the first half of the next game and see if he's loafing. And he's loafing. Sometimes he has Mozzie feet where he don't even move him. He just stands straight up and then start grabbing at people, Fuster King. So I'm not saying Dane is wrong.
Yeah.
Deion Walker could be exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But Tyleek Williams is another fat character, and he don't stop moving. Derek Harmon is a fat character that play a bunch of snaps and he don't stop moving, Fuster King.
Harmon's leverages. Ooh,
so I just can't sit up and say. I just can't sit up and say that Deion Walker just tied. Because if he had good football character, I think he'll play through that.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to gather your thoughts and opinions on the Fuster King. What about you, Bryan? Have you changed your mind?
Yeah. No, I tell you what, man, I think we talk about this quite a bit, and he's likely what's going to happen. Teams are going to dive in and Voch, they're going to ask the exact same question of this kid when they get him at the combine. They're going to say, hey, when I watch your tape, you got times where you loaf. Why do you loaf? And they're going to see what kind of reaction that they're going to get from that kid. That kid could go straight up, bow up his neck and say, I don't loaf. I don't know what tape you're watching, but I don't loaf. He could take that approach, or, he can try and come up with something. But teams are going to see where this kid's at. The size is rare. The movement can be rare. The power can be rare. But you're right, though. There's those questions you have of like, why does your play go up and down during games? And Dane, I think Dane was trying to be nice to this kid about talking about he plays a lot of snaps. Most of these teams do have they rotate their guys, and I'll say this about this kid. He has a chance. He has a chance to be as good as that guy that plays at Kansas City. Jones.
Yeah.
Now remember him, Jones, 2nd round pick, Mississippi State, right?
Yep.
2nd round pick, Mississippi State. This is the thing that scares the hell out of scouts is
damn. We lost you, Bryan.
No, he's back.
Okay, there you go.
back.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry about that.
There you go.
But the play goes up and down with this guy.
Yeah.
And I that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But he could very well be like that, like the Kansas City dude. And then all of a sudden a team takes him and you're watching him and you're like, damn, I remember what I thought about this guy.
Sure.
I remember what I thought. But man, he could make your draft, or he could absolutely set you back. And that's what you're going to have to dig in on.
That's what makes the question, where do you draft him, so fascinating, because it's nothing to do with his talent, right? It's just that he's literally a coin flip. He could either be a David Irvin type, he could be a Mozzie type, he could be a Chris Jones type, right? It's all one big dice roll. And where do you draft a dice roll, Foots? Like, if he didn't have any Los or character looking type stuff, I'm saying, look, he didn't get caught with a gun or punch nobody in the face. But when I say character issues, I think loafing is a character issue. So if he didn't have that stuff, he's a 1st round looking guy.
No question.
He's up there with Kenny Grant and them. You know what I'm saying? In terms of a good moving, strong, explosive 300-pound character, 330-pound character. He's up there. But where do you draft him? Do you take a dice roll in the 2nd round, 3rd round? Do you wait till the criminals and hurt guys go in round 4? Because we ain't got one of them picks. So where do you take him?
I got a question for both of y'all.
Please.
I'm talking about that position.
Please.
Bryan, all we've heard is, Mozzie will take 2 to 3 years to kind of develop. Sure. Can this team and this regime, let's say Mike is back. It sounds like it's trending that way, Bryan, unless you've heard different. Sounds like it's trending a certain way. And I know Voch hates that, and I kind of do too. I think we need freshness. But just say for the sake of this exercise, right? And can this team afford a guy at the D tackle position that is not for sure? We think that Mason Graham is for sure.
You've won too many games. That? I mean, we'll see. You've probably won too many games for Mason Graham, probably.
Yeah.
No, Bryan. What he's saying, right? If you're the Baltimore Ravens and you got multiple good tackles on your team, you can roll. You can roll the dice on a guy.
Absolutely.
We have Mozzie, and that might be it. Like, that's all we got under contract right now.
Yeah.
What Fuss is saying is we can't roll the dice because we don't have an established tackle room. And what you saying, Fuss?
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is, how would you guys feel with a guy like Walker so early, knowing that Mozzie to this point, he's played better, but to this point, it's been a strikeout, it's been a miss. Yeah. How would you guys feel with Walker at 14? Is that risky? Is that risky, Bryan?
It's too risky for me. I would rather take Tyleik Williams in day 2 somewhere.
Okay.
See, I'm the same way, because in the first round, I am just trying like hell to limit the potential mistakes. I can't afford. Now, you could take some gambles in the second or third round. I mean, the Cowboys have done that before. But to me, that pick, I mean, when they've been really good, we've talked about, I know Voch and I have talked about this on our show, it's the Zach Martins, it's the CD Lambs, it's the Micah Parsons, it's the, that's what it is. It's those types of guys that we can't take. We're not going to take Johnny Manziel. We're going to take Zach Martin, who has no damn holes in him. That's what you're trying to do in the first round. Give me the guy that I feel the best about. Effort, body type, medical, interviews, all that stuff that we're going to get into with this guy. We're picking this guy because of this, and it's all, it's all encompassing. And like I said, if you want to take some gambles and stuff in the second, third round, fine, but not where Dallas loses the next 3 games. Okay. Maybe picking in the top, 10, 11, 12, somewhere right around there, maybe. Yeah. So I can't. I got to limit my mistakes here. And in good conscience, I can't take this kid at that spot, even though somebody else will. And I know there's a chance that he is going to be a really good football player. But there's also a chance that something's going to happen to him, and it's not going to work out for that team.
Yeah.
Man, first I got one more, and I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
Where you at with the Texas A&M D linemen? Nick Scordon and Shamar Stewart. Where you at with those guys?
With Scordon is interesting because he's in that James Pierce, like true DN vibes. I think that the athleticism is real. They play him at that wide 9 Voch, and it's real. But then there are games where I'm just like, did he play?
Yeah.
Maybe I got him wrong. And
no, go ahead.
Is he in the run game? Is he being physical? But then there are games where it's like, oh, he's out there. And who was the other one, Voch? I'm sorry.
Stewart.
Shamar Stewart.
So with Stewart, I like Stewart. I think that he would not be in first round consideration for me. I got a 2 on Stewart. And really, I mean, Nick Scordon wouldn't be in first round consideration for me either. Just because I look at a player like this, when you go that long in between making plays, I got to figure out why. It's kind of the same deal with Walker, right? Love him, but why? What's going on here? Is it your motor? Like, I can go through a whole quarter and see Abdul Carter affect the game. In some way. Is he chasing and is he even chasing down plays? Is he in on a tackle? Is he in on a tackle for loss? It doesn't just have to be sacks or pressures. I don't see that consistently with Scordon, but I do see why people love the measurables because, again, like Walker, they just don't walk around like him. So I understand that part of it.
Man, these two cats are interesting because Scordon's 285 pounds, what we're working off right now.
Sure.
And Stewart is 290 pounds. And so to me, I don't see twitchy guys. I was thinking everybody's telling me about Texas A&M and they were telling me about, this front 7 and all that. These dudes are big. I mean, these are like big, like defensive ends, big, like these aren't like edge rushers.
Yeah.
These guys are like
Bryan.
5 technique kind of guys. And the thing with Scordon, I think he could kind of play along the line of scrimmage. I think you could play him, at the 3, you could play him at the edge. I mean, I don't know about him being this great, pass rushing type of guy, but the straight line speed, the winning with power, occasional spin move, plays a lot of snaps, effort, motor, not flashy at all. There's nothing flashy about Nick Scordon's game at all.
Yeah.
but there's something very, very solid about the way he plays. He's going to be very steady, and he's going to play a lot of snaps. And he's going to be durable, and he's going to win with power, and he's got mass to his body and straight line speed. Those are the things, yeah. I mean, that's you got to have those guys. And then I look at Stewart, and he's 6'6", 290, and he seems to me a lot more raw as a player than what Nick Scorton is. But, the power, the point of attack, the snaps where you see him kind of lose track of the ball, and it just goes by him. And then he kind of like, so that's kind of where I think with Scorton, I see more of a ready player. Stewart might be a guy that could be better long-term. I don't see really high sack numbers with him. So I was kind of thinking that the A&M kids going in, like, these are going to be these, we've seen them in the past. Texas A&M have these twitchy, fast edge rushers. These cats were like kind of old school players with their size, and not being, both being powerful, one kind of having a little bit better understanding of like, what's going on around him, and the other's kind of the raw guy that I think you're going to have to coach up a little bit.
I tell you what, I'm not a fan of neither one of them. If I had to have one, Scorton seems to be the better.
I would take Scorton over Stewart, but Stewart might end up being, if he figures it out and he, and he kind of picks some things up. But the Scorton seems to me to be ready. He seems to be ready to play. I think Stewart's going to take some time. I really do.
What I'm saying is that they're both looked at as top 10 type talents or whatever. I'm just seeing that around the board. Scorton probably going to be a top of the second round dude for me. And I think what's going to happen is Stewart going to get to the league, and they're going to put him at tackle, defensive tackle. Yeah. And if I got to pick between him at defensive tackle or Harmon or some of these other guys or Williams, he ain't better than none of the tackles that we've named so far. Grant, none of them guys right there. So Shamar Stewart may be a third round defensive tackle. We don't even know. So
I got a name for you, Voch, and that I see more twitch. I don't know if he has the bend of some of the guys we like, but I like JT Tuimoloau. Now I don't, and I like his tape from last year a lot better.
Sure.
But I just think that
it's Ohio State, by the way. Yeah,
Ohio State DN. And another guy who I think can play all the way across that D line. I just, for me with him, I'm starting to like rushers who have some of that. Now he's no way, shape, or form Micah, but taller guys, I feel like Voch give their body up in a way to tackles where it's like first move done, that's it. And they don't have any power or any like leg drive for speed to power. With both Boses, I think they did a great job of being rushers that, if nothing else, they could speed to power you to death because they were literally lower than you. The A&M kids are so tall and they play so high sometimes that initial rush is done. Yeah. With JT, he has some of that Ohio State edge rush mode. Is he Bosa? No. Is he Micah? No. But he has some of that juice that I think we're talking about, where it's like every rep he's come, they come from a historic, like that Ohio State coaching. When it comes to D-line, they coach D-line at Ohio State. So I think that some of that is what I like in his game. That's like a name for me.
Well, first of all, you know me. This is Voch that you're talking to. I'm floor guy. I'm not. Yeah. I don't care about your upside. I don't care about the raw dude with a whole bunch of traits. Do you know how to play football? You know me.
That's definitely you, Voch.
I was fussing over this Tyler Guyton miss. Do you know how to play football right now? If not, can you at least whoop your people with the skill that you have? That's who I am, Fuster King. And JT Tuimoloau, there's a path to who he is. He may not be a Mike Green type pass rusher or a James Pierce type pass rusher. That dude's gonna stop the run.
That's true.
Yeah.
That dude's gonna play. He's gonna play really hard.
Yes.
He's gonna use his hands. Okay.
Yeah.
and he ain't gonna look goofy, and he gonna play a lot of plays, and he ain't gonna get tired for the game. I like me some JT Tuimoloau. He may be a guy that may go in the middle of day 2 somewhere. I don't know. So I don't think he's gonna test really well. He's not gonna be a big.
I think you guys got this kid. There's nothing flashy about this kid, but he's so consistent.
Sure.
I mean, I think he's got, when you watch him play, he's got a really high football IQ. You know, the instincts and his hands, the length. I mean, pass rush stuff, yeah, he's going to need some work. But I wouldn't, you know, it's like not the elite burst, you know, but you know, what the really good pass rushers have. But this kid, his effort, his motor are really, really good. I mean, you could win with guys like this. And he's durable. Yep. This kid hadn't missed a game in his career, and it feels like he's played 100 years in Ohio State.
It does, Brian.
But man, like you don't see him get fooled. He's, you know, all these guys want to crash down inside. He kind of plays slow, plays it. Next thing you know, he's either going inside, he's going outside. But he's got a feel for how to read plays and get in on the tackle. And there's somebody is going to, he's going to get drafted, and what the first words out of her mouth is going to be, that's a really good pick. Yep. Because this kid has made starts in a lot of big games in his career, and he's been consistent throughout the way that he's played. Yeah. Yes. You know, there's one of your safe picks. All of a sudden you're sitting there on the board and you're thinking like, okay, who's the guy, the upside guy, this, that, and the other? Or, okay, who's just the best football player?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's that kid from Ohio State. Yeah. You know, but he doesn't, his traits are not going to blow you away. What blows you away is the intelligence, the strength, and then the ability to play in big games and the ability to be durable. That's something you have to really appreciate about him.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, man, I just love we can all come together and talk a little draft, man. You know, we all good at it. You know what I mean? We all good. Please.
Can I ask you guys a Cowboys question? Because I asked my guys this question today.
Hell yeah.
And because usually on Tuesday it's get into the mind of Brian Broaddus kind of thing, you know, on the Cowboy break. So I asked Derek and then Ambar and Nick Harris this question today. And I want you to guys, if you can kind of tell me what you think. And here we go. I'm going to pull this up. Currently, I'm pull up the question. Currently, the most important offensive player, CeeDee Lamb or Rico Dowdle? Currently, the most important offensive player, CeeDee Lamb or Rico Dowdle?
It's the problem. CeeDee Lamb lives through Cooper Rush. That's the problem. Like, CeeDee Lamb can get some carries or whatever, but he lives through Cooper Rush. I don't even want Cooper Rush playing with the football for real like that. But we seem to do better offensively when Rico Dowdle get like 20-some carries. Mm-hmm. And we can play action off of that. That seems to be when this abridged Cowboys offense is at its best. So CeeDee's the best, but Rico may be more important to the operation. And I'm only saying that because you can't have CeeDee without Cooper Rush, and I don't want to get Cooper Rush involved.
Yeah, you're not saying better, so I would say currently and right now the way he's playing, Cooper Rush, I mean, Rico Dowdle deserves everything he's getting right now, Brian. He's running hard. Mm-hmm. He's doing all of those things. Now I'm gonna be thorn in everybody's spine. I'm still drafting a running back. Yeah, and it's not even close. And I love Rico Dowdle. Love everything he stands for. Great player. But Voch, I'm taking a page out of your book, and we fuss and fight and have done so for years, but I love you. Mm-hmm. I'm not overrating our guys. This team needs players, good ones. And you said it, Brian, like this team needs a guy that, you know, I love Tolbert. I don't want him to be a guy that we rely on.
Yeah.
I'm done. Yeah. Done with that. Done with training camp. Done with a couple good plays. And, you know, no, it's not enough. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's going to get us to the playoffs. It's not going to get us over the hump. So I love what Rico's doing, but his longest run was 12 yards. It's just not. He's not special, and it's not a knock. He's Darren McFadden to me. I want special.
Yeah.
So that's me.
I got to give you one more question before we get out of here, Foch. One more question.
Please. Take your time.
And this has no. My man has got to get his beauty sleep. He's got to get his beauty sleep. He's been on air for like 12 hours today. So
y'all are both goats, man. Y'all don't know how y'all do it.
Yeah, well, we're trying to figure that out right now. To be honest with you. Trust me, we're trying to figure that out right now.
Too soon.
All right, but Foots, I'll start with you on this one then. This is my final one. Bigger impact in the future for this defense.
Ooh.
Marshawn Nealon or Maris Leofau?
You bring your fastball. I'm going to go Maris Leofau in the immediate future, he's going to have to be your Mike. And because as of next year, you don't have Eric Kendricks isn't on the books. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Marshawn Nealon, I think you get Sam Williams back. Like, I think everybody just forgot that Sam Williams is still on his team. Yeah. So he can kind of help in ways. And Nealon plays some good ball, but I think we're starting to see, Bryan, that the game is slowing down I had to think about this. Like, he literally just took Damone Clark's position. Done.
Oh, yeah.
Over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sure did.
So I'm gonna go Maris.
How about you there, Voch?
You said who's gonna have the biggest impact in the future?
Yeah, bigger. My question was bigger impact in the future for this defense.
Jeez,
Maris Leofau or Brandon, or Maris Leofau or Marshawn Nealon. Yeah,
I think the path is easier for Leofau. I think as long as he steps in and doesn't lay an egg, I think it's him. Man, Overshown's future is so cloudy right now. And I hate that part. Part. But it's cloudy, man. I think once you have a linebacker, you typically don't keep looking for him. I think once you get him, you just cool with him. I think you're going to be drafting defensive ends every single year. So I might agree, man. I might agree that Leofau's a guy. And Marshawn Nealon could be a dude that he may be around for 5 years and we move on from him just by the nature of taking edges every single year like that. I think once you find a linebacker that's smart and can really read the plays like that, and you know that's aggressive, that really gets it, I think you hold on to those guys for a while. So let's just say both of them prove themselves, right? I think Leofau is more likely to be held on to because he's a linebacker. He's the leader of this thing. He lines everybody up. I think you can find some Marshawn Nealons. Chauncey is a Marshawn Nealon right now. It's just that, Chauncey's finally playing defensive end where like he's supposed to do, So you can find Nealons, but if you really hit on the linebacker, I think that's special.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Bryan, real quick before you go, I know beauty rest and all that. Bryan,
what'd you say?
I can't recall your pre-draft thoughts on Maris, because I know there were people who said running back instead of him. Do you?
I was in that. I was in that camp.
Okay.
Because what I was thinking about was, the fact that, like, okay, my running back, I'm going to have to get this guy right now, and I kind of felt like that maybe that they would go with that in mind, and they didn't. I mean, they just did not. They didn't care. They felt like, okay, we've got Zeke, and we've got and we've got Rico and all that stuff. And I went back because I was curious, and I just went back and looked at my notes for Maris Leofau and just what I said. And I said, traditional off-ball linebacker, uses an edge rusher, plays with physicality and a sense of urgency. He's got the size and the functional strength that you like in your linebackers. Might be maxed out size-wise, but a good-looking player. The patience, the discipline, doesn't take false steps, shows explosive power in the way he steps up and fills. Fast in pursuit, chase the ball carrier, plays with some pop, impressive lateral quickness, can carry backs, carry tight ends. Talked about an ankle injury he had, super aggressive the way he plays, make contact off balance. I thought sometimes he just didn't wrap up as a tackler, but I didn't think that was a big issue, because when he does get the guy there, he can get him on the ground. I thought you could use this guy as a pass rusher, and I thought you can maybe develop some better moves with him. Yeah. But I thought he was also did a great job of getting after the football. But as much, they really like this guy. They really, and one of the things that Voch is going to experience is in day 3, we bring scouts in and coaches in, and they get to, on the draft show, the draft's going on, they're answering questions, and you kind of learn about, to a man, they loved Maris Leofau. They didn't want to hear anything about drafting a running back. That was their guy. That was the coach's guy and the scouts guy. And so I'm like, all right, but you know what? There's these running backs have done well. You're about to play against one Bucky Irvin that, it's going to, there were a lot of these running backs that you could have taken. And I will say this, Maris Leofeld is probably more important to them right now because of their linebacking situation than a running back they would have drafted. I know that's crazy to say, but where they are right now, they're going to absolutely need him the rest of the way and into next year.
To your point, fair. You know, Bryan, just off of that or whatnot, like it's harder to find good linebacker play than it is to find good running back play.
He's a lot. I mean, you heard my notes. I was kind of like, he's playing better than what my notes were.
Sure.
In my opinion, I think he's playing better than what my notes say.
Sure. We can say, oh yeah, in day 3 we should have gotten a running back or whatever. But I think that just kind of proves how easy it is to kind of find a running back. Like, it was a lot of them to go get, but I think that's the nature of what running back is. Yeah, I mean, you could have Tyrone Tracy here, but would Tracy be any different than what you have in Rico Dowdle? Like, it's questions like that.
That's why when, like I said, Voch and Foots, when we were interviewing him, and like talking to him after the draft, everybody was saying, hey, we felt like there was a point where Rico Dowdle was better than anybody that they had in the 5th, 6th round on that board. That's how they look at it, and then their wild card was Zeke, whether that was the owner, general manager, but
terrible decision.
That's kicking him in the ass. I will say this though, that Rico Dowdle, I like this now when you go on overthecap.com, and I like to look at the value of a player, where they're at in relation to where they're paid. And Rico Dowdle's a $1.1 million player, but in his value to a team is roughly about $12 million. Wow. They've got 3 players. They got 3 players. And this is a discussion that we had on my radio show today, was that the Cowboys, and maybe I'm trying to figure out why the Cowboys are having this, okay, we're not going to do anything in free agency thing. Okay. They convince Kendricks to come on board. They convinced Kendricks to come on board and, on a 1-year deal, $3 million deal. His value as a player adjusted is almost $13 million. The same thing you could say, $1.1 million.
Wow, that's a good nugget, Bryan.
With your value, and all you have to do is look at overthecap.com and go and look up the, with the value of the players, and they take the grades of Pro Football Focus, and then they make a value. They've got 3 players. Kendricks, over $12 million. Carl Lawson, over $12 million.
Carver gets some sacks. Carver getting busy.
Good ball, Bryan. That's a good name.
Carl Lawson, and then your running back, Dowdle, over $12 million. So they've got the value. They've got the value of what you paid for a player and how they're playing and the type of value they should be. So if you're the Cowboys, and I asked my crew this question, I'm like, or made this comment, Jerry and them don't want to play in free agency, but all of a sudden you're signing guys for $1.1 million, but they're playing like $13 million players.
Right.
And I know you don't want to make a living doing that, but to them, that might be why they have a very top-heavy team, and then everybody below that is the $1.1 million player, but they're getting value, big-time value for those players.
And, Bryan, everybody's pushback, not to you, but to the Joneses, everybody's pushback is, man, you mean to tell me we could have had Derrick Henry and Carl Lawson and Eric Kendricks and Rico Dowdle?
Sure.
That's what they're saying. That's what they're going to say, Bryan.
Well, see, but okay, let me, well, you guys, I know we're not running out of time, but I just want to, because I want to look at something real quick here. I'm going to have to look it up. If you guys want to kind of talk about whatever you're talk about.
I'm going to say this. Now that you talked about Rico, Voch, I'm going to throw it back to you. And then, Bryan, I want your thoughts. Are you guys staying away from a running back early with draft with what Rico has shown you late, almost being 1,000-yard rusher. I have my thoughts, but I want to hear your guys' because I'm still want talent at that position. I want to run the hell out of the football next year and make life easy on my quarterback who's shown that he's injury prone. It's a real thing now, and shown that, like, let's take the ball out of his hands. So that's my thoughts. But where are you guys at the running back position? Do you say it's a deep class, let's get one later, or do we want quality?
Well, first, at the end of the day, Rico Dowdle's still a hurt guy. He just hadn't done it this year. And that don't mean Rico's going to be here forever. Rico may have, like, if we just re-sign him for one more year, he may have one more year for us. So in my mind, I'm trying to keep Rico and double him up with the young guy and just run those two guys as like a tandem. And then that'll take a lot of pressure off of 4. And then 4 will take pressure off of them. It'll just work hand in hand like that. I'm not just trying to totally move on from running back because we have Rico, but I'm also not really trying to move on from Rico just because we got running back.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, and I've only looked at 3 of these running backs now, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest. I know the Ohio State. I know Voch and I were going to do a show on Friday, and so I know there'll be more running backs and stuff we have to talk about. But I'm to the point where Rico, I'd like to get him some help. I see what Detroit's done, and to me, I like that. I like the way that they, the way that they can kind of get the 2 backs and they figure out ways to get them both involved. And I think that's the right way to go. I pulled up this thing real quick just to kind of give you an idea. Okay. They're saying, just real quick, and I'll run through it. Positional value it's called positional value. I'm looking at the Cowboys. Okay. You pay Oso Odighizuwa $1.27 million for his APY. He's positional value right now is $19.9 million for what he's playing at. You look at Brock Hoffman. Brock Hoffman's playing like a $17 million player for you at center guard from your grades. Eric Kendricks, 15.9. Jordan Lewis, 14.9. Carl Lawson, 13.7. Rico Dowdle, 12.8. Okay, let's talk about these salaries. I said Osa, 1.2. Brock Hoffman, $927,000. Eric Kendricks, $3 million. Jordan Lewis, 2.8. Carl Lawson, 1.1. Rico Dowdle, 1.2. That just, I mean, to me, that maybe is why we see some of these things with the Cowboys and their willingness not, I guess their unwillingness not to participate in free agency. Yeah. Because they're getting value from players that they're spending $1.1 million on. I know people don't want to hear that. Like, well, God, I just looked up Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, for what he makes at $10 million, is only $2.4 million better. So he's really a $12.5 million player. Yeah. They spent 10. They're getting $2.5 million more value out of him right now.
What's that website?
Overthecap.com.
Over the cap. Yeah.
That's a cool little.
And it breaks down all the contracts, everything about it. They do a super job. They got a really good handle on that stuff. There's a couple of them Spotrac, but I started looking because I was looking at value of players. Like if you look at it, like CeeDee Lamb, and they use the grades of Pro Football Focus. Okay, is what they do, and they have a formula for it. And then just go and look, and you can see every team, break it down by position, and it gives you what the current value of that player is. That player living up to his contract, or is he not? You look at the New York Jets. Every player that they have and they sign is a negative player.
Damn.
Negative money. So they're getting no value from their players.
Yeah.
And their record is so but you could go through and say, well, how's this guy playing? Like, oh, he's a $1.2 million player. Well, what's his value to the team? He's Jordan Lewis, or he's Rico Dowdle. He's a $12 million player. By the way he's playing right now.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating stuff. I mean, I don't need me to nerd out, but I started looking at it. I'm like, God dang, it gives you an idea of where some of the value of some of these players are, for sure.
Absolutely.
Boy, I was trying to find it, boy. I couldn't find nothing on this.
It's all one word. It's all one word. Over the cap.
Okay, I got it up here, Bryan. But
okay,
like,
look at the top right. Right. See where it says value?
OTC valuation. Okay, over the cap.
Yeah, there you go. Now you got it. And then you can look by team.
Okay.
And you can look by position. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay. I see what we got here.
Yeah.
How much Mozzie worth?
There.
How much Mozzie
Open your
worth?
eyes there. Yeah.
Interior D line. Let me take a look. Mozzie Smith. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't know what none of this mean, bro. What was it?
Okay, you're looking at. Hold on a minute. Let me get to mine. I'll get mine pulled up. Okay, so you're looking at Mozzie Smith.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what the example? I'm sure I'm gonna have to go down here on my. Okay, Pro Football Focus is not a huge Mozzie Smith fan.
Me neither.
So okay, Mozzie Smith, he's playing right now to the level. He's playing to the level of a $6 million player.
Okay.
His number is actually 3 point.
Okay.
The number his current value is 3.3 million.
Okay.
His value over APY is right now is $2.7 million.
Oh, okay. So Osa is
look
playing.
At CeeDee Lamb. Look at CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is he's
so
CeeDee Lamb 34.
Go.
No, see what he's saying. So he's really a negative $27 million player, but according to Pro Football Focus,
because of the quarterback, he's only giving us $6 million or $6.9 million worth of wide receiver.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Positional value, overall value, currently what they're making, and value over that.
Okay,
so yeah.
Okay. Well,
like Cooper Rush is a $28 million player.
Damn. Okay. So Micah has the highest value. He's playing like a $33 million player, but he's making $4.
Right.
But
he's making 4.2 million, and his overall value is over $34 million.
And look at your boy Brock Hoffman playing like a $17 million player, making $38 a year.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, and this is a cool little table. If anybody wants to tap in, it's overthecap.com, and it's
this is dope. Yeah, I didn't know you could do like get their what they're playing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing a video on this tomorrow on Bleacher Report. I'm gonna be stealing. I'm gonna steal this. I'm gonna steal this shit. You hear me? What's the king? Never let a good idea go astray, sir.
I'm telling you, man. Nah, for sure.
Man, I tell you what, man. Fuzz, we held you for a long time. I mean,
this was. We covered a lot of ground. We got a lot of takes off. This was a banger, man, for sure.
Yeah. We appreciate you for tapping in with us, though, Fuzz King. You know, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome.
The Doing All Right. Let me tell y'all something, just so you two gentlemen know. The Doing All Right podcast is a part of my everyday.
Wow.
Hearing you guys' thoughts. So to be a part of that, I truly am thankful, fellas.
Thank you.
That means a lot to us, sir. It means a lot to it. If y'all want to tap in with him, it's Foots. Is it Foots DA King or Foots THE
Everything
King?
Because of you. Everything Foots the King is all marketed in one place.
Foots the King, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Voch Lombardi, of course, VOCHLOMBARDI. And then Bryan Broaddus over there, BRYN Broaddus, right there. Y'all tap in with him. He'll be answering questions for you in the morning. And we are going to read your comments. Foots love to read comments. Foots will hop in here and answer all the questions in here. So y'all be sure to leave them down there. We will read them. All right? Y'all hold it down for the Dosky Walls and the Piece of Weeks. We love y'all. Till next time. Crown.